Welcome to Skillopedia, the place to learn skills for the real world. My name is Michelle, and in this session with me, you're learning how to get hired with your interview answers. We know that there are a set of questions that the interviewers ask the people they're hiring, and those questions are decisive. They decide whether or not you'll be hired. Stay with me in this session to learn those answers, because I'm going to clear your mind about what you should say to the interviewer. The first question that you can expect from the interviewer is, why are you leaving your current or previous job if you've already resigned? And this question makes most people trip, because the interviewer is trying to find out whether you can work with them. He's not trying to find out if you can work for them. He's rather trying to find out whether or not you can work with them. You have to be very careful about not ranting about your previous employer. That means you shouldn't talk negative about your previous employer. The key to answering this question is to maintain undying positivity. You must talk well about the working environment, because the employer wants to find out whether or not you can get along with people. And be sure not to talk about a low salary, because that will make your employer feel that you are leaving purely for money, or that you're applying at the new job purely for money. So you must mention how great your stay was at the previous job. However, if you have some genuine problem like the distance that you had to travel, you can be very honest about it and answer this question without any negativity. So make sure you're not negative and you answer everything positively about your previous employer. The second obvious question that you can expect the employer to ask you is, tell me more about yourself. That sounds like a vague and personal question. You could expect that question on a date as well. But that's not the answer that you need to give an employer. You need to keep your answer very professional. Try not to slip in details of your personal life that might cost you in a negative light. So if you end up saying that you're a lazy person, that's surely not a good answer. Make sure that your answer is professional, because the employer is trying to find out whether or not you understand the crux of the question. So you must answer this question by reiterating the points on your resume, telling him your qualifications and your experiences, and reassuring him that you're the best fit for the position that you've applied for. Make sure you answer this question by telling your qualifications and how well you fit the position that you've applied for. The third question that you can expect the employer to ask you is, tell me about your weaknesses. Do you have any weaknesses? Again, that's a very tricky question, and if you actually reveal your weaknesses, that's not a great answer. If you end up saying that it's difficult for you to prioritize your family life because you're so hardworking and you spend all your time at work, that sounds a bit cliche and even insincere, because nobody can actually feel that. You are able to manage your personal life, so it could come across as a bit deceitful and not true. So instead, you might want to say about something that you have developed over the years, any weakness that you have overcome. So maybe you were a person who was bad at confronting a failure, and now you've started to accept failure and you've also started reconstructing from scratch. So this is a story of how you overcame a bad time, and this is something that can be developed. And the employer is trying to find out whether you have a learning spirit or not through your weaknesses. So don't spill out your weaknesses. Stay composed and talk tactfully and diplomatically. The fourth most anticipated question in a job interview is, What is your desired salary? I know that is an exciting question, but you need to stay very composed while answering this. So when the employer asks you what is your desired salary, you must assure him that for you, your position and how well you fit into the job role matters much more than the pay. So you could have a simple answer to it rather than just stating the salary you want. Because as far as salary is concerned, the unwritten rule is the person who proposes the number first loses. So you might just want to give a simple answer like, though salary is relevant, but I would consider my job role first, and once you know more about me and I know more about my job role, we can discuss this. So this would make the employer feel that you've put some thought into the question, and that for you, pay is not as important as the fit into the job role. So this should be the best answer to the question, what is your desired salary? The fifth expected question at a job interview is, tell me about a time when you overcame a challenge. This question sounds very simple and you could share a story, but then it's very difficult to come up with a clear story that is meaningful and that also demonstrates your qualities and your attributes. So we'll go about answering this question according to the suggestion of the HR head of Google. So he says that first you should demonstrate your attribute. You should think that which attribute of yours does your story demonstrate? So maybe you overcame a financial crunch and you want to demonstrate the attribute of being diligent and determined. So you could share your story like this. You could say that when I was in a financial crunch, it was very disheartening and I did feel like I failed, but I decided to overcome this and I decided to recollect all the resources that I needed to start again. And this shows how determined you were. And you could also say that I made sure that I was spending extra hours at work to be successful again. This shows how diligent you are. And you could, of course, develop further on the story. This could be the outline, deciding and demonstrating your attributes to the employer. Now that you've learned the answers to the 5 most important questions in a job interview, you'll surely have a leg up in the competition and you'll have an edge over other candidates. Make sure you practice these responses to the point that they don't sound rehearsed when you share them with the employer. And come back for more lessons with me on Skillopedia, the place to learn skills for the real world. Hello beautiful people, welcome to Skillopedia, the place to learn skills for the real world. Do you like giving compliments or do you like receiving compliments? I love receiving compliments and I'm sure you love receiving compliments too. But it's an art to be able to compliment another person and to make them smile from ear to ear. In this session today with me, Michelle, we are going to learn different ways of complimenting somebody and also what are the golden rules of complimenting. You know, complimenting is so important because it changes the person who is receiving the compliment. It affirms their personality and touches the very core of their heart because they are being encouraged to be a better person than they already are, right? So stay with me in this session and learn some wonderful ways of complimenting your dear ones. Hello everyone, welcome to Skillopedia, the place to learn skills for the real world. My name is Michelle and in this session I'm going to tell you 7 ways to stay motivated when people put you down. Does it happen that you think of a new goal and you want to share it with your family members and your friends who are very close to you? And when you share it with them, you expected them to be so happy and excited for you as you are. And however, what you receive is discouragement and criticism. Of course, you don't feel excited about it. At those times, there are ways to stay motivated, and you're going to learn those with me in this session. So stay tuned.